guys, welcome back to the Color Plan podcast. Today you're with Jack. Jesse will be with us on the next episode. We're talking about the 80-20 principle today. It's a principle that I came across probably 3 to 4 years ago, and it's this idea that 20% of the inputs lead to 80% of the outputs. So basically there's these few tasks or things that you do in your life that create the most value and lead to most of the results. And it's a really great principle to apply to business. It's a great principle to apply to your personal life also. It's something that, yes, I learned probably 3-4 years ago, but hasn't always been at the forefront of my mind with the craziness and the speed of life. It has been something that I've really been trying to focus on more recently with, both in the business and my personal life. Things have been moving very quick in both. And so it's been a really valuable tool and principle to have that's really helped guide me through and make sure that I am spending time on the most important things. So how does that look? What does that mean? I'm going to break down where we're at in a business sense first and how I've applied the 80-20 principle to Color Plan. And then I'll also finish with how I've applied it to my personal life. So we've been around for almost 12 months now at Color Plan and pretty much just been throwing shit at the wall, like seeing what sticks. You're young, you're putting out a new product, you've got new customers, everything's brand new, you don't know what works yet. So you basically just have to try as many things as possible, see what your customers like, see what marketing strategies work, learning everything from scratch essentially. So that's where we've been, I suppose, this last 12 months and where most small businesses are in this same time frame. And from that, we've now started to get to a position where we have a little bit of data, we have a bit of feedback that we can now, measure and help us to make decisions moving forward. So that's where we stand today. The business has been moving very, very quickly. Things are happening all the time. We're bringing on new people. We're losing people. We're moving manufacturing. We're bringing out new products. Where all these things that happened in the first 12 months have happened. And so now it's really been about, okay, here's all the data we've got from that. And now where do we want to focus our attention and our resources moving forward? So this is why the 80-20 has been super beneficial to think about and have in mind, because that's exactly where we're at in terms of a business at this stage. Personally, within the business, I feel like I've been wearing probably more than 100 hats recently. It's been quite hectic, jumping across plenty of different roles. And it's funny, the podcast has been, it's a great example of this. The podcast has been something that for me hasn't felt like a priority. And I've definitely seen that within myself, not only being on some of these past episodes with Jesse. The quality of work for myself 100% just wasn't, what I know I'm capable of and what I've done in the past. And that was just purely because I haven't been focusing on it like it's that 20% that's bringing 80% of the results. And so that's just one example. I've been spending more time in other things where the business probably needs me more right now than the podcast. So it's a really good, I suppose, message and lesson that whilst something may be very valuable, for the first 12 months, like the podcast was, for me to be heavily involved, now the business is in a point where it's probably not great for me to be spending that same amount of time and energy on the podcast as opposed to other things like sales and building out customer relationships and looking at our operations and trying to make things run smoother and improve our products and services, you name it, blah, blah, blah. So that's something in terms of roles and tasks where the 80-20 principle has really, really helped me, I suppose, hone in on certain things that we feel bring the most value to Color Plan. It's also really helped with my time management, and I suppose it just really helps me structure my time day to day, week to week. I'm a big journal guy. You'll see this journal probably in all these podcasts that we've done. It's pretty much my little Bible. It sets up my week, sets up my days, and the 80-20 rule has helped me, prioritize certain tasks that I have to do each day. Say there's 10 things I need to do tomorrow. I'll try to do the most important 3 first in the morning when I know I'm clearest, and because those are probably the 3 that are going to help the business in the biggest way, rather than the back 7, which if I don't get to them, it's not do or die. It's not the end of the world. So something to think about as well in terms of how you structure your time. And the third one is probably mindset. I think having the 80-20 principle at the forefront of my mind, more specifically these past few months, has really just helped me to focus on what matters most. It also forces you to take a step back and think big picture and think critically about things, which is very, very important, especially when things are moving so quick like they have been recently. It's easy to just get caught up in the day-to-day, being reactive and almost chasing your tail in a sense. So take a step back to actually think about, hold on, what is, bringing that 80% of the results, what are those few tasks that bring the most value is super, super important, and something that's been very important for where we are at in this stage of our business. There's a couple questions that I asked myself around the 80-20 principle that I suppose helped me to stay in this mindset and also help me to make decisions moving forward. So I think I wanted to share them with you today because I know you guys can use them in your own worlds, whether that's your personal world or your business world. The first one is, how can I free myself up to spend more time on that 20%? So that's the 20% that's bringing 80% of the results. For me, this comes in a few different ways, but first of all, really defining, what your roles and responsibilities and your tasks are that you do work on, and then figuring out through data mostly, and also knowing your strengths and weaknesses, what bring those results is very important. And by having this question at the front of my mind, I'm always thinking the things that aren't bringing much value that I have to do on a day-to-day that maybe just time-consuming or little maniacal things, how can I outsource them to someone else? How can I automate them through technology, through a software? How can we bring someone else on board that can maybe take some of that off my plate? These are all things that I think about by having that question in my mind. And another way to word it is, how can I outsource the tasks that don't lead to the 80% of results? So it's literally just flipped it on its head. It's the same thing, but if that works for you, that works for you. So I suppose to recap that, the 80-20 principle, it's just been massive for my mindset. It's been massive for our business, and it's really helped us define, roles, responsibilities. Now that we've also had a few more people come on board, we now have a team of 4, so it's trying to figure out what their time is best spent on as well. And so if you are finding yourself, wrapped in the day-to-day and almost just throwing shit at the wall and it feels like you should have something to show for it, maybe take a step back and think about this principle and try to apply it in your own business, in your own life. I'm going to quickly finish with my personal life because I have been using the 80-20 principle there too. And for me, what that looks like is just knowing what those 1, 2, 3, 4 things are that I suppose fill my cup the most, and whether that's bringing me the most joy, making me happy, feel fulfilled. These are all things that I've obviously figured out over time. And so I try to fill my cup with as many and as much of those things as possible. Some examples for me include spending time with family and friends, those closest to me, those I love, spending time out in nature, outside, exercising, working on meaningful things. This business is one of those. Taking time for myself to think about my thoughts, to write, just to relax. I know all those things need to happen in order for me to be at my best. So take an internal inventory of sorts for yourself, and you can also apply the 80-20 principle to your personal life too. So that's all I have for you today, guys. Hopefully you took something from that, and we'll be back with another one soon.